The body of an unidentified child was discovered inside of a box in a wooded area near Susquehanna Road in Northeast Philadelphia. The story of who would come to be known as America's unknown child has haunted this community.
Welcome back to another episode of Are We Dead Yet? I'm your host, Mari Pilling, and today we're going to be diving into the chilling mystery that has baffled investigators for decades. The tragic case of the boy in the box. Our story begins on February 25th, 1957, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It was a cold winter day when a young man was walking along Ferry Road. Little did he know he was about to stumble upon one of the most perplexing cases in the history of American crime. In a box on the side of the road, he discovered the lifeless body of a young boy, estimated to be between 4 and 6 years old, weighing only 30 pounds and standing at 3 feet 3 inches tall. The child was naked, wrapped in a blanket, and his hair had recently been cut. Small scars on his body hinted at a previous medical procedure, but what was most horrifying was the cause of death: blunt force trauma to the head, and no witnesses to this gruesome crime. The mystery deepened as investigators worked tirelessly to identify the young boy. They kept his body at the morgue, hoping someone would come forward. Flyers were distributed to 10 different states, and even the American Medical Association joined the effort by sharing a description of the young boy. To no avail, they compared footprints and fingerprints to the birth records in the area, but there are no records to even prove that he had ever existed. It seemed as though he had simply materialized out of thin air. Then, a breakthrough came from an unexpected source. The box in which the boy was found had a serial number, leading investigators to a JCPenney store 15 miles away, and 12 of these had been purchased, all with cash transactions. The box trail led to Upper Darby, Pennsylvania, but the clues ended there. Meanwhile, the blanket in which the boy was wrapped was examined by the Philadelphia Textile Institute. It was determined that the blanket was made in either Granby, Quebec, or Swannanoa, North Carolina. However, it was impossible to trace where it was purchased. And then there was the hat, a blue corduroy hat, size 7.5, with a label that read Eagle Hat and Cap Company. This hat was linked to the owner of the company, Hannah Robbins, who remembered the man that ordered the custom item. He was described as blonde, 26 to 30 years old, and he had paid in cash. Sadly, Hannah never saw him again. One of the most baffling pieces of evidence were strands of hair found all over the boy's body. Forensic artist Frank Bender believed that the boy had likely been raised as a girl due to the recent haircut, but this lead also failed to produce any significant breakthroughs. With all these mysterious pieces of evidence, the question still lingers. Was this boy's death accidental? And what was his name? For decades, these questions haunted the investigators. A name emerged in this cold case: Joseph Augustus Zarelli, born in 1953. He would have been 4 years old at the time. The boy's body was exhumed twice for DNA testing, and the police held a press conference.
Based on research by detectives and the genealogists, a male was discovered who could possibly be the birth father of the unidentified child. Detectives were able to locate and make contact with possible relatives of the child's family on the paternal side. Through additional testing, the genealogists were able to establish the birth father of the unidentified child. Based on the facts presented and the conclusions of the genetic genealogists, the death certificate for the unknown child, OME number 57-0863, would be amended to reflect the child's birth name, Joseph Augustus Zarelli. Joseph's date of birth is January 13th, 1953.
Today, the investigation into the boy in the box remains an ongoing mystery. How did he end up in that fateful box on Ferry Road? The case remains shrouded in darkness, but the hope for answers persists.
I'm hopeful that there's somebody who was in their mid to late 70s, possibly 80s, who remembers that child. We have our suspicions as to who may be responsible, but it would be irresponsible of me to share these suspicions as this remains an active and ongoing criminal investigation. We may not make an arrest, we may never make an identification, but we're gonna do our darndest to try.
This is a true crime podcast. Are We Dead Yet? Hosted by Mari Pilling.